Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Worthy, Worth It, and Priceless. This podcast episode is titled, When is the Last Time You Said I Love You to Yourself? So I was on TikTok and I was watching this creator, and her name is, I want to get it right. I can't say it right, so I'm just going to spell it out. It is Makopiri. No, Makopiri. I think I said that right. And either way, she does she listens to these songs and whatever songs, and it's like as if she's feeling the song, like literally like feeling it. Her head is moving, she's dancing to it, all this stuff. It is a thing. I absolutely love her content. But also the song that she was listening to was Lee Renee, I Love You. And I absolutely love that song. And absolutely wish it was longer, but either way, I play that song on loop. But as I was actually watching her basically interpret the song, um, what I realized was that when was the last time that I told myself that I love you? And like lately, it has been a lot of stuff going on, be it work, be it home. Um, if you follow me on social media, you see I'm going through this whole realization stuff about pillows and all this other stuff. And that has been going on throughout the weekend. And so I have been just trying to figure out stuff so much that, sometimes you neglect yourself. And the funny thing about it is, I say a lot, like, I'm just trying to figure it out. And, as some of you all know, that my daughter is autistic and nonverbal, but she's also a mimicker. And so at the end of the day, I might ask her something. I'm like, Vaya, what are you doing? Or something like that. And she's like, nothing, mom, just trying to figure this out. And so that's how I realized, like, I must be always trying to figure something out. And the thing about it is, I just wanted to dig deep into that subject. And you think about it. Um, as a child, some of us, were people pleasers and things like that. And a lot of times it was you can be seen but not heard and all of this. So you kind of don't really have a voice, and then you start getting into relationships, and depending on what type of relationship you were into, it's just like basically a life of people making you feel small, making you feel like you didn't matter and things of that nature. And now as an adult, some of us may be single and you're starting over, and, life can happen. And sometimes we neglect ourselves. We neglect ourselves so much, and we actually put people in front of us. It's like we have to train ourselves or untrain ourselves to stop putting people ahead of us. We need to start realizing that we matter, that, what I mean, like I have a voice too. Like sometimes we are courteous. And I know my therapist said something to me about it, because I was like, yeah, I let people go ahead of me and stuff like that. And she's like, you're kind of training people that you don't matter. Like that's what you're even saying within yourself. And I know a lot of people like, no, but you're being courteous. But sometimes it comes up to the point that you're saying to yourself that you don't matter. And sometimes like we're always waiting for the other person, waiting for someone else to validate us, tell us that we matter, but we need to start saying that to ourselves. I remember when, my life was going the way it was going, I looked in the mirror and I told myself that I hate you, because I was so angry with myself for the decisions that I've made in my life. So if I can sit up here and go into the mirror and say, I hate you, it would be more powerful for me to tell myself that, hey, I love you. Because sometimes we don't have people to tell us that we love, I love you or whatever, or that they love us or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we can't wait for that spouse or whoever, or that friend or somebody else Instead of waiting for somebody else or outside validation, why don't we start telling ourselves that we love ourselves? I love you. You know what I mean? Like, for the most part, it's just me and my daughter. You know what I mean? We have our whole routines, but for the most part, it's like it's me and my daughter. So, yes, she could tell me that she loves me or whatever, but it also has to come from me as well. I can't sit here and just, like I said, wait for other people to say, I love you and all of that. I need to know that. And it's much more than just buying my favorite fragrance or, you know, all that other stuff and doing all outside things. Sometimes it is telling myself that it's okay, giving myself that hug, giving myself that love. I remember not too long ago, I had a friend and she told me, like, I don't know, like out of the blue, I know God must have touched her to contact me. And within that conversation, she said, give yourself a hug, like do it now type of thing. And I think that was the first time, I don't even know if I ever gave myself a hug. And I remember giving myself that hug and basically almost being in tears. You imagine like carrying the burdens of life and people always saying that, you could be the problem or, whatever, like your life, and people were making it seem like their issues is your issues and you're a bad person, all this stuff. And you're carrying all of this weight and you've been carrying it for years and you've never let anything down and you never, you tried to make sure that everybody was straight everywhere and no one cared for you. But this is the question as well. Do you care about you? And I know in certain settings, oh yes, of course I care about myself and all of this, and that's because we're around other people. But deep down, when no one is around, ask yourself that. And then if you're not even sure if you're going to give the right answer or whatever, start thinking about how you show up for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, what do you do for yourself? And not like getting your favorite meals and things like that. Do you compliment yourself? Do you say, man, by the grace of God, I did good today? Do you say the things that you love about yourself? Do you speak highly of yourself? Because those are things that we weren't taught. We weren't taught about self love. You know what I mean? It's always about giving out to other people. But sometimes no one talks about loving on ourselves, even in school. And I hate to say it like that, but I was even thinking about it as I was saying it. But remember Valentine's Day? We gave out to other people. And it's okay to do that, but also you have to love on yourself. You have to tell yourself that you mean something. Because if you don't, no one else will. We have been taught to care for other people, and nothing is wrong with that. But we can't care about everything else so much that we neglect ourselves. You know, um, a situation happened at work, and um, basically I was doing this project, or basically I went to work, and I already had it set what projects I was going to be doing, what I thought I was going to be doing. But I came into work, and my coworker, um, it was basically a pile with my name on it of projects. And so I seen that my coworker's name was on this project. And I went to her, and oh, I'm sorry, her name was crossed off and my name was put there. And I went to her and I'm like, hey, the boss wasn't there, but I'm like, hey, was this your project? And she said, yeah, but you only had one project. So the boss told me to give you this project so you wouldn't not have enough projects. So I'm like, all right, cool. But I'm going to have a conversation with him because that's not cool. Right. And to me, and I'll just tell you this, and I'm obviously like finish the story, but um, to me, it felt like, okay, I do a good job at doing projects. So this person may have not wanted to do this project. So put that work on Tammy. Right. And so the next day I went in on my day off because I had to go pick up something. And I saw the boss and I said, hey, did you tell her to put my name to do this project? He said, no. She told me that you wanted to do that project. And I was livid. I would tell y'all, I was okay. It was there. But the thing about it is, that is what people will do. They will put more on you because at the end of the day, they don't want to do something. So they say, hey, you can do it. But you have to love yourself enough to stand up for yourself and say something like, hey, wait a minute. That's not my responsibility. Now, if it is, that's cool. And if that's how it was supposed to go, all right. But if it's not, was not supposed to go that way, people will sit up there and take advantage of you. And you have to start taking up for yourself. It's enough. And I'm not talking about everybody else. I'm talking about myself. And when I say this, like, I'm not about to keep using that excuse of, being there for everybody and, I was a people pleaser and all this. Like, okay, we get that. But now I have to start showing myself that I matter. And that is standing up for myself. I hate confrontation. I tell you, I hate confrontation. I don't even want to have to do all of this. Like, I don't even want to have this conversation. I don't want to have to do this or do that. But at the end of the day, sometimes when things like that happen, you have to take up for yourself. And you have to start telling yourself that you matter. If somebody is going to take advantage of you or at least try to take advantage of you, you have to take up for yourself because nobody else is going to do that. And that's something I know that God has been instilling with me, especially having a daughter that is nonverbal. So-called like an introvert. I don't want to do all of the, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I have to take up for my daughter. My daughter doesn't have a voice. You know what I mean? Like people, especially like coming up, you know how people want to touch and all this other stuff. And I have to say, it's too much for her. I remember really quickly, I remember oh Lord, she had this one teacher. And, when they would come to the house and stuff like that. And this teacher was, when they had like, it's not funny, but they had like that whole brushing technique and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, get off of my daughter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, you just, and she was trying to make it seem like I was just kind of being like a hovering mother or whatever. But then when the speech teacher who came over, she's like, she's not even allowed to do that. So that is the thing. Like how we would protect and be there for our children and things like that. We have to make sure that we're doing that for ourselves. We have to start doing that for ourselves as well. So start speaking up for yourself and also start loving on yourself, making sure that you know that you matter. And then at least like for the next week, and then you can go on into 30 days, but at least once a day, start writing down things that you love about yourself and things that, that makes you feel good, things like that. And then by the end of the month or end of 30 days, read it. Or any time when you may not feel up to it or you're having a bad day, you can go back and read those things and start loving on yourself even more. Because if we would do it for other people, we need to start doing that for ourselves. We need to start telling ourselves that we mean something, we matter. Because to the world, we may be a number. We can go to work and, they'll put extra work on us and stuff like that. And we go here and go there and we're a number and all of this. But if we treat ourselves like that, we have no excuse. And we're not making that excuse anymore. we're going to start loving on ourselves. And we need to start today. So I pray that this helps you and it blesses you. And I will link that song that I was telling you about from Lee Renee. And I think it might just be on Spotify or however it works. But it is called I Love You. But I will link it to this episode. And hopefully, wherever you listen to this episode, it will show up for you. Okay, but I love you guys so much. Make sure that you start loving on yourself, giving yourself those hugs, giving yourself that love because you definitely deserve it. You always have worth, you always have value. You are always worthy, worth it, and priceless. And let me continue on because the funny thing about it is I was going to end this podcast episode, but God kept touching me and tugging at me. So if you need more encouragement, I do have books on Amazon under Tammy Simmons. I also have a book that I actually just redid, which is called Love Yourself First. It is on Amazon, as well as I have music under my full name, which is Tammy Michelle Simmons. And then there's encouragement songs on there and everything. And it will give you, hopefully, it give you more encouragement and all that stuff. So I was going to end the podcast, but it was bothering me. Or God was tugging at me to basically start putting myself out there. I can't tell you guys to do stuff that I'm not doing myself. So, once again, I love you guys. Have a wonderful evening or morning, day, depending on when and how you are listening to this podcast. Once again, always know that you have worth, you have value, you are always worthy, worth it, and priceless.